Ladies and gentlemen, this evening's performance of
The Diz Explorers
will begin in 2 minutes. Excellent
listening
locations are still available all around Showcase Promenade. Due to the use of
alcohol and opinions
around the lagoon, for your safety, we request that you remain on the promenade side of all railings. During the show, please watch your step and take small children firmly by the hand. Once again, this evening's performance of
The Diz Explorers
will begin in just 2 minutes. Thank you.
To another episode of the Diz Explorers podcast, where each episode we explore the many avenues of the great Disney universe. Well, before we get started, I hope everybody enjoyed last week's episode and didn't need too many tissues and don't think that we're a bunch of giant saps, especially me, because listening back to editing it, I was like, wow. That's a side of me that never comes out anywhere ever. So anyway, hope I didn't scare anybody away. But anyway, so we hope you enjoyed the episode. It was definitely much different than anything we've ever generally talked about. So this week we're back to the fun and the ridiculousness and the silliness. We are going to discuss, I guess we can call it armchair Imagineering or cruise ship Imagineering. And I guess so we're just going to kind of discuss things we would, if we were in charge of coming up with ideas for Disney Cruise Line or different destinations or themes or anything to do with it, kind of. That's what we're going to do. You know, kind of came up with this about an hour ago, so we'll see how it goes and where it goes. So, we do our best work spontaneously.
No.
We definitely do. So, in case you haven't heard, that's kind of how I do everything.
That's how we roll.
That's how we roll.
That's right. Yeah.
So we'll see if we're not doing video tonight, not even for ourselves to watch, but it would be very interesting to see if Adrianne starts twitching and her eye starts going crazy because it's not planned.
Listen, it's been like 3 years. I'm used to it by now.
And I only make
someone has to keep us together.
And I only make fun of her because I love her.
It's all right.
All right. So anyway, we're gonna change it up, and I'm gonna let the cruise people are gonna start this one off. So Melanie or Milford, whoever would like to, is the microphone
we never
is yours.
get to go first.
I know. Well, this is your guys'.
This is your chance to blow it.
That's usually preferably that I don't like to go first. So.
I can't think of a fancy word. You're, I don't know.
Okay. I'll jump in. So there are a few things that I would like to see, especially on the new ships that are coming up in 2021, 22, and 23. Some of them I've seen on other cruise lines. Other things are just things that, why doesn't Disney have them already anyway? I don't know. First off, and I've said it before, I'm a mom of 3 kids. We're a family of 5. I really want some more stateroom configurations for different sized families that aren't in the concierge level category. Right. Something that can fit 6, that maybe a junior suite type of deal that can accommodate families of up to 5 or 6 that are, and I get it, they're going to cost more because they do fit more guests, but aren't necessarily concierge level. So more stateroom configurations. I hope those are coming on with the new ships. I would think that would be probably feedback they hear at the end of every cruise, is that it's just hard for families that aren't families of 4,
right,
families of 3 to fit on a cruise ship.
I know.
It's tough.
I'm in the same boat. Ha ha, pun intended.
I also, so other cruise lines have these, and I hope that the new ships will. I would love to see a sushi restaurant or maybe even Pan-Asian type of restaurant in these signature offerings. Definitely a pay-for-play kind of restaurant. That's the quality I'm looking for. And I would definitely call it Harryhausen's. And
I feel like I should get that reference.
You should. You guys should get the Harryhausen's reference.
Monsters, Inc.
Thank you. That is the sushi restaurant in Monsters, Inc.
I feel like we've talked about that before.
We have talked about it. That's just, it's top of my list. That sushi is, anytime my family celebrates, that's what we go out for. So that's something that we would totally pay for. And by the time these ships come online, all 3 of my kids will be over the age of 18. So come on, Disney, take our money. You know, we're asking to give it to you. You know, give us what we want. And one thing I haven't talked about, but I've in researching, actually just booked a cruise on another cruise line. I know.
Shame.
I know, shame.
Sacrilege.
We're kind of excited, actually. We've sailed on all of the Disney ships, so we're excited to try some new things. But I've seen on other cruise lines, and not on the one actually that we're sailing on, where they have the stargazing lounges, or they have the comfortable chairs with the solarium type windows, and you can like gaze up at the stars, kind of like a When You Wish Upon a Star lounge kind of thing, so that, you know, you're out in the middle of the ocean with no light pollution. Yeah, I like somewhere indoors at night because it gets cold and windy on deck. I'd love somewhere indoors, protected from the wind, where you can just sit and stargaze for an hour or so, and I wouldn't mind having somebody coming by to bring me drinks.
Yes.
But, you know, I would call it When You Wish Upon a Star, and just have a lovely place to sit up and stargaze. Hey, bring in an astronomer. Just tell us what we're looking at. Those kind of things. So the simple things, like I said, the stateroom configurations, some new restaurant offerings, because Remy French, Paulo is Italian, so I think something in the Asian cuisine market just makes sense for the next ship. And some more indoor spaces. I think the indoor spaces could be refreshed. They could, and I'm sure that the Imagineers are on that, but I would love some more creative indoor spaces for when the weather gets super windy, or if you're not like just a hang out by the pool kind of person, or if you're going on cruises in the winter where hanging out by the pool's not your main goal.
Right.
But I don't want them, there are things I don't want them to change too. So I like the signature styling, the old, I hate using the Titanic reference, but the old luxury cruise ship look to them. The deco and the Art Nouveau, I love that look. So I don't want that to go anywhere. But some new indoor spaces, I think, would be first on my list. I don't really have any destinations in mind, though. So, Milford, I know you said you had some destinations.
Well, I'd really like to see them do Japan and potentially China, because, you know, you could do a cruise between Hong Kong and Japan and get in 2 different parks.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they already do that with the cruise from New York. A couple times a year, they bring a cruise from New York. I don't remember when they do that.
In the fall.
It's in the fall, right? When they come back from Europe.
The Magic leaves out of New York Harbor.
Yeah, and then they port in Port Canaveral, and then everybody gets off the boat and goes to Disney World for the day.
Nice.
And that's included in the cost of the cruise. It's not an extra cost.
Yeah, their pass is included that day, so that's kind of cool. You know, I could see them doing that with Hong Kong for sure. Tokyo, I don't know. That's probably a pretty good bus ride. But, I mean, they're already doing Hawaii. So, you know, that's already there. I would like to see them do more Hawaii itineraries. And then, you know, I really can't think of anywhere else I'd want to go on a boat. that they're not already going. I mean, they already do the Mediterranean in the summer. They already do Europe in the summer, off and on. They're already doing the West Coast, California, Washington, and Alaska. I guess I'd like to see them leave a boat on the West Coast and do more California, Mexico cruises.
Probably.
I thought they were doing that.
I think that's probably going to happen when they get more boats.
They're leaving the Wonder over on the West Coast longer and longer each year, it seems.
Yeah.
Kind of, I think working up to that eventually.
Yeah, I think that's the destiny of it, and the Magic staying probably in the Med and the Europe. Because it could stay in the Med year-round. There's no reason why it couldn't. And then we pretty much know right now, the talk is that at least in the rumor mill, that the 4 ships are going to end up out of Port Canaveral, because this came out a couple weeks ago. They came out with a plan to update Port Canaveral Dock 10, which is where Royal Caribbean used to berth their ships.
Right.
But they've now moved on the causeway past Fish Lips and built a new place down there. So now the only ones using 10 is Norwegian Cruise Line, NCL. And they're only in there 1 day a week. So
potentially have
potential is there that you could have 4 ships sailing out of Port Canaveral. And, the alternative, maybe sailing out of Miami a few times a year. So the only thing a couple things I can think of on board, I like your idea with bigger rooms for us lay people that can't afford concierge.
Right.
Because, when I'm taking the wife and both kids and, that, and we want to have a separate room, it'd be nice to have a suite that's not concierge that we got to pay $15,000 for.
Concierge on the one that I just booked, and it's nothing like Disney prices.
I know, right?
Because you get accustomed to Disney prices, and all of a sudden those concierge suites are like, whoa, that's a deal.
I'm gonna have to compare notes with you, because we're actually thinking about doing a Royal Caribbean cruise next year too.
Okay, great.
Just as something as a break.
Sure. And
So
we can always podcast them. And it's learning. I'm learning. Just like when you go over to a new cruise line, there's things I have to learn. And I'm kind of meticulous about this. I want to have my book and have notes about when I do this, how I do that, how much is this. So, I'm diving straight on in and learning everything. It's kind of fun to have something new to sink my teeth into. So I'm excited. I feel like I'm keeping on Disney. And what's even worse is we're going to Universal before we choose on Disney cruise line.
Oh, jeez.
Right. My kids still haven't been to Harry Potter World.
Oh, gosh.
I know. They're like 21.
You're such a terrible parent.
17. I know.
You're a terrible nerd parent.
I'm a terrible nerd parent. So chances are we'll probably do all this before my kids ever step foot in Star Wars land. So
you got a better you'll actually get stuff done there. You won't get.
It's true.
You may step foot in Star Wars land, but that's about all you're going to get inside there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I think we're going to be waiting a while on that one.
Oh, I'm scared. We're going in December. I'm scared.
Oh,
I don't think it'll be open yet.
It's the fall. It better.
Fall could be right up till December 20th.
I know.
That's right.
If we're going the 13th or something, so.
Their seasons are funny, because I was on the phone with Disney yesterday because I had to switch. I was having trouble with something with the My Disney Experience app when I was doing the fast passes, and I happened to ask the guy, because I was telling him, why I was switching people around and my kids, and off of me managing them to my wife doing it because I wasn't going on the trip, and yada yada yada. And he was like, at the end of the call, he's like, oh, I hope you can get down again soon. I was like, well, I said, you might be able to help me out with that. I said, do you know when Illuminations is ending? And he was like, I wish I did. He's like, nope, they keep telling us end of summertime. He said, but summer at Disney World runs through September.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, okay, that's what I keep hearing. He's like, so I'm sorry? I said, nah, it's all right. I said, I figured it didn't hurt to ask. So
I'm telling you, though, my suspicion is October. honestly, because that Pixar thing that they just started with the Incredibles or whatever, that Incredible Street Party.
Yeah.
All of that goes through September 30th, plus free dining ending on September 30th.
Oh.
I'm feeling mid-October. I could be wrong, but
That would be more of a pain, but it is what it is. I'll make it work. Won't get on that topic again. So.
Right, I know.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
My fear is they're going to announce it's going to be during the travel agent cruise I'm on in September.
Yeah, I don't know.
So the other thing, there's one other thing for on the ship that I would really love to see, because there are so many DVC members that show up on the boat. They need their own space.
Ooh,
they need their
nice.
own lounge.
Like a DVC lounge.
Yes. Concierge has their lounge. Why can't the DVC have a lounge? Maybe
combine a platinum and DVC lounge.
Yeah, that would be nice, but and then for us folks that are, platinum cruisers, they let us use the concierge desk to check in. We should be able to use the concierge lounge, I think, but
I'm gonna go no on that one.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna say that too. But since I'm platinum and DVC, Disney, if you're listening,
split the difference. They'll have their whatever the equivalent of a platinum lounge is separate from the concierge lounge, so there are separate spaces on some ships.
Yeah,
I can see combining platinum with DVC because they're starting to get similar perks anyway.
Yeah, I know, somewhat.
But just throw us a bone with something.
Right? Yeah. I wish we could get that. That'd be nice.
I did hear that the port terminal at Port Canaveral is going to have better seating, or actual seating.
Well, they're upgrading both ports, so.
They are. The seating is an issue at Port Canaveral right now. It's limited. It's probably one of the only reasons I would ever see anybody even bother getting there early, if you want to actually sit down while you wait.
Yeah, that's why I like the fact that I'm platinum. I just show up and go right on the boat. I don't have to sit there in a chair and wait for my number to get called. God forbid.
That's why I tell people, like, if you're not platinum or concierge, don't even bother showing up until there.
Yeah, don't show up until you're scheduled to be there, because it won't do you any good.
And if you try to schedule before noon, you're not going to get on the ship before noon anyway. I mean, they start with the first boarding groups usually between 11:15 and 11:40.
Yep.
So if you're bumping up to noon anyway, just show up in there. People don't listen to me. That's okay. You're excited. You want to get there early and see everything, but hurry up and wait. So yeah, I would like to see what they make of the new ports while we're Armchair Imagineering. So I'm sure there'll hopefully be some interactive play spaces, more seating.
Yeah.
I get why they don't have food and drinks in there. That would just be a mess.
No, I get that.
I get that. Some people are like, oh, what about food or snacks? I'm like, oh, I just think of the mess.
I think that's one reason why they did move to, trying to get people, to show up at the time they're supposed to for their boarding. Right. That way there's not as much people trying to have to sit around. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Adrianne, where would you like to
go? Okay. I don't listen. Y'all know I know nothing about cruises or cruising, honestly. But just if we're playing like fantasy, I want to travel to Australia, so I want to do it on a Disney cruise. Do they do one there?
Nope.
Okay. I didn't think they did, but So yeah, that was my thing. And so then I'm trying to think, because we talked about Armchair Imagineering, a theme. So I was trying to think of themes that would go along with an Australian New Zealand cruise, and unfortunately I didn't realize until I researched it, Lord of the Rings is not owned by Fox, so that newest acquisition will not help, but it would be nice if it did. The Rescuers, I love The Rescuers and The Rescuers Down Under, and that would be really cute. I don't know how you would incorporate that because I'm not an Imagineer, but it would be a lot of fun. That's what I was thinking. But mainly, I just want to go to Australia. Anybody want to fund that for me?
There you go.
I'd like to go to Australia too. But it's expensive.
It is. It's ridiculous. I've looked it up.
Yeah, I had a quote request for somebody to go to Australia, and oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, just the flights are ridiculous. Which is how it is for any travel. It's always the flights that kill a family of 4 or greater. But yeah, it's the same like when I wanted to go to Disneyland Paris. It's the flight. The flight is what kills me.
Yeah, that's
put me on a boat.
Yeah.
And we won't think about the logistics of it.
No, right.
You know. But the whole time I was sitting here thinking and trying to brainstorm stuff up, I thought, this is why I am not an Imagineer. Because apparently I can't dream it nor do it.
Yeah, I'm not a...
I can plan it, but I can't dream it or do it.
I can't sit down. I used to think I was a very creative person, but if I sit down and actively like, all right, I'm going to come up with something, like even if I feel like drawing something, I just can't do it anymore. I remember sitting in my room as a teenager and just having music on and sitting at my little desk or on my floor and just drawing stuff. And I have all the stuff I used to draw. It's hanging up down in my basement because I was like, oh, this shit is cool. I'm going to keep it. And it was all rolled up in one big tube. And I was, it's nothing spectacular, but it's not horrible stuff. And I was like, oh, this stuff is cool. But now I sit down, I try to do stuff, and I'm like, man, what the hell happened to my, I can't do it. I can't get it out of my brain to my hand.
Kids, man. I blame kids for everything.
I guess so. I'm much better.
Wasted on the young.
See, I can do it not drawing it on paper. I can convert it into the wood carvings I do and stuff like that, which to me makes no sense at all because that seems to be harder than actually drawing with a pencil and a paper. But for some reason, I can figure that out. I don't know. I blame the rum. But,
there you go. That works too.
Yeah,
that works.
That's a good excuse. Speaking of rum, we shall have a cruise that is a booze cruise. No, I think. Yeah, I don't know that I could come up with a different destination that would make sense for a cruise ship and be Disney themed. Like going to some of those South Pacific islands would probably be really cool. Fiji and Tahiti and Samoa and all that. But there's just not enough going on them for families. Like I know there are families that go there for vacation, but that's a pretty much like you go and you relax. There's nothing to do. There's not amusement parks. There's not mini golf and all sorts of normal touristy things. So it'd be a 1,000% just relaxing, chilling on the beach, beautiful water and massages, and I would assume people serving you some sort of ridiculous cocktails all day long, or maybe not. I don't know. I've never researched.
Mai Tais.
Yeah, I've never researched one of those trips because I know I'll never be able to afford one. So, but as far as for the theming of the ship, I would enjoy a crossover of a Pirates themed, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, well, it would have to be Pirates of the Caribbean because that's what Disney owns, but a Pirates Tiki Room kind of mix crossover thing. So, you could have a whole story behind it, like the pirates ransacked and they did all they did, and it's like they got older and they had enough ransacking, and they used everything they plundered and they pillaged, and they turned, all their pirate fortresses and stuff like that to like a giant tiki bar, an oasis, and a place where they can just hang out and drink their remainder of their days away and eat food and tell their stories and so on and so forth. And yeah, so I think, well, for me personally, I think that would be cool because, number one, that would be the backstory for if I ever build my tiki bar in my basement. That's the story behind it. So you heard it here first, folks. I'll tell you when opening day is. But yeah, that would be awesome. And I mean, other than what they do now, I probably wouldn't be like a show, so to speak. It would maybe be similar to like a luau type show with the fire dancers and the Hawaiian dancers of the different from different islands or something like that, and just I don't know how you would theme it and make it, and to get the pirate mix in it somehow. And kind of like what Milford was saying about like a DVC area, there could be like a specific area there would obviously be adult areas and kid areas and something like that, but kind of like there would be your typical clubs and entertainment areas where it wouldn't be super heavily themed, because there are going to be people that don't want it 24/7. I mean, none of those themed cruises have the theme isn't throughout the whole thing, the whole ship, bow to stern, and the entire time you're there. Like even like the Marvel ones and the Star Wars ones, at least to my knowledge. I've never been on all those, but
when did they start those? Has that always been a thing? Like Star Wars weekends and
when did they start those cruises?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, they started those 2 years ago.
The Star Wars ones?
This is the third year.
Because I thought about like a pirates themed cruise, like you're talking about, but I don't know.
I kind of already do that.
Because I do pirate night and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But I just wondered, like I said, because I have such limited knowledge of the cruise line, how long those themed cruises have been around. Because I kind of assumed that they already did like a Pirates of the Caribbean themed cruise. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I mean, they already kind of do the whole pirate day at sea kind of thing, because the whole day is pirate stuff. So.
It's just one day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would...
But I think a themed cruise would be really cool.
And probably not like a 7-day. Like it would be like a 4-day one, because that's probably all you could honestly handle, even if that was like your most favorite thing in the world, because it's gonna get old kind of quick, and it's gonna get the same thing all the time. How much of it can you do without it being redundant, which is fine. So I think like if it was one of those 3 or 4 day cruises, it would be great, and you could have. So just wrapping up, so I don't go on forever about it. So my idea would be 2 of the theme areas, like the kids thing, you could have like a whole, like they did with the new ship with the Millennium Falcon. You could have a whole pirate ship type setup where you're on board, and it's almost like you're pretending to man the ship. You got to set the masts, and you could have a somewhat of a crow's nest and man the cannons and have like a simulated battle or something with another ship. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, you could be like for the tiki end of it, you could be for the kids, they can pretend to have like a little juice bar or something like that, where they're serving stuff and there's cool music playing, and they get to wear the Hawaiian shirts, and maybe they have the kids do like a little kid style luau or something like that. You could have 2 different spaces like that. And then for the adult end, you could have 2 separate bars, separate rooms, just so the themes didn't match. You could have like a real deal like a real deal tiki style bar with the authentic cocktails and the music and the lighting and the mood and the crazy and the nice decor, and almost like a Trader Sam's on a ship, but maybe like next level and not as hokey isn't the word I'm looking for, but more authentic, I guess. I mean, Trader Sam's is authentic. I don't know. I can't think of the right word, but some of the ones like that are out in California that are like themed to the hills and rich with history and stuff like that. And then the other one would be almost like a pirate themed bar, almost like a Tortuga Tavern type thing, but like rowdy and raunchy, and there'd be like sawdust floor, and you can get peanuts, and you were at a baseball stadium, throw the shells on the floor, and it's there may be not that they're mean to you when you order your drinks, but it's not going to be like, hi, how you doing? It would be like, what do you wait? The whole theme would fit, you know what I mean? You'd fit right in. I mean, they couldn't be mean to you because it's a Disney cruise, but you know where I'm coming from. It's not going to, you're not going to exchange pleasantries, and stuff like that. So I think something like that would be cool, and it may cater to maybe a very, very small amount of people. So that could only be like a once a year thing, because I don't know how many people would flock to something like that. But here I am talking about it like it's actually going to happen. But clearly, for not having any ideas, I had a well thought out one.
Well, it kind of makes me want to see how this whole Star Wars land immersive weekend thing works out for them, to see if they then carry it over to a cruise line. Or
to other themes in other areas. Because right as soon as you said that, my mind totally went to like... I mean, they could do any of the lands in the Magic Kingdom, and I don't know that that's the park to... and I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I think like Tomorrowland could heavily benefit from like walk-around characters and theming and some sort of bring a story back to that land. I mean, Adventureland could too. I mean, Fantasyland has its own story with the attractions that are there and the characters that walk around, but Tomorrowland is sadly lacking any sort of vision, especially now, being that it's not so Tomorrow-like. But
hey, we'll see what happens when Tron comes along.
Yeah, no, I know, yeah, but right.
But yeah, I think it's interesting. But then I'm not a very outgoing personality. So like the thought of an immersive weekend in Star Wars terrifies me. Like I don't want random people coming up to me and telling me that I have a purpose. You know?
Right. Yeah. No, I got you.
So I'm like, I know we are getting off on a tangent again, but I'm curious to see if it's a success and if it spills over, like you said, into other lands or other how many opportunities, because you know how Disney is. If something works, they're like
beat it. They're gonna beat it like a dead horse.
Exactly.
But you know what it is? So I'm the sometimes I have if I'm comfortable, then I think I'm fairly outgoing, and if it was something along those lines, I think I would be reluctant at first, but once I got going, I think I'd be totally into it and forget all about any sort of insecurities that I may had of acting like that in front of strangers. But maybe if they had certain levels of it, you know what I mean? Like where you could participate, but like you weren't like 100, you weren't like all in, you know what I mean? Like stuff you were comfortable with, they would like spill out, this, you can be participating in this and this event or task or whatever it is. And it would be everything you'd know about it. It wouldn't be anything like you said, Adrianne, where it's like you're walking around in your costume or whatever during the day, and then like a random person comes up to you and whatever. I need to smuggle this onto the Millennium Falcon, for an example, and you're the person that has to help them get to the ship because you know where Han is hiding. You know what I mean? There'd be people that would be totally into that, and there'd be other people who are like, I can't do the spontaneity thing. And so maybe you would have a separate mission where, like, all right, you're going to be here, and this person, somebody is going to come to you, and this is what you are going to do. So you have a task that's laid out before you that you know you're going to do and about when you're going to do it. And maybe that would be comfortable for people who want to enjoy it and be a part of it, but like, you are not as outgoing or a little, insecure is the wrong word, I think, because that's not what it is. It's just you're not comfortable with that kind of stuff. So I think they could cater it to that if they wanted to.
It's got to be kind of escape roomish, because people get comfortable in those escape room situations. At least they seem to.
Right. So I mean, there's many different options. So I don't know. How about you, Jessica? What do you got? Any thoughts on?
Well, my first line of thinking was kind of similar to yours with the Polynesian theme, but I was sitting here while you were talking thinking, why don't we take Mel's idea for Cusco-topia and put it on the ocean with a South America cruise?
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Just make the ship Cusco-topia.
Yes, please.
Complete with a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That would be, instead of the aqua dunk, it would be it would be Kronk and speaking of that, one more off topic. I don't know. I might have even said it on here. I watched Kronk's New Groove fairly recently because my daughter wanted to put it on, or maybe it might have been the little guy. And
I've never seen that.
I hadn't watched it in a long time. It's not as good as the first one, but it's funny. It's good. It's a good sequel. Like
no joke, we watched Emperor's New Groove yesterday.
Yeah.
And the whole time we're watching it, my husband and I are like, they don't make this kind of movie. Like,
No.
Yeah.
it's so different. It's amazing. Sorry.
Well, and on
On
the
paper.
cruise, you could take all of her poison room, whatever, and make that a bar.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh, that would be
candy
awesome.
store.
Yeah. And I don't even remember all the ideas Mel had, but I remember she had it down to the costumes that
she
the
had it
cast
all.
members would have. So I'm sure she would have a plan.
She did. She had it all spelled out. Yes, she did. I remember that. Yeah, that would be fantastic on a ship. Oh man, that would be great.
Listen, Cuscotopia would be awesome anywhere.
True.
Ship, land, space.
Air. Yeah.
Yeah, let's.
Any form of transportation.
Disney needs to make that happen.
Yes, they're seriously missing the boat on that.
I just want the sass, like you were saying.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean? We all talked last time about how much we love Disney and their level of customer service and how you know everything's going to be fine when you're there. But I love me some sass and sarcasm too. So,
Oh, hell yeah.
Can you imagine an Yzma and Kronk meet and greet? I mean,
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
yes, I can.
Can it just be Patrick Warburton?
Yes, it should be.
Right.
It has to be. It has to be.
We get him to do the inaugural.
Yeah, there we go.
That's right.
Love it.
Oh, that would be.
Honestly, you could even do a themed cruise of, I feel like the second half of the 90s movies are just abandoned in the parks. Like Emperor's New Groove, Hercules, Pocahontas, Mulan. They're
Yes.
nowhere. They're nowhere in the
No.
parks. So you could just make a cruise about all them.
Yep.
That is true.
Yep.
That is true.
That is for
No, because
sure.
they pretty much got rid of everything that was Pocahontas.
Well, that too. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
and let's not even talk about Hercules, which we have all established is one of the most amazing soundtracks in any
Oh,
Disney movie ever.
absolutely.
Yep.
Ever.
One
Why?
of my favorite movies.
Why? Is it because it's difficult to find actors that, like cast members that can live up to those expectations? I don't know.
I
They
know they
have
found him for the
Roseanne.
video game.
They had walk around characters for a while. I think.
Yeah. I think they actually did that just like last week or something. Those random meet and greets they're doing in Magic Kingdom for the 90th or whatever.
And
They
Disneyland
did.
does them for special occasions.
Disneyland
but I
had
mean,
it out recently because I saw people posting pictures of Hercules and Meg.
Yeah, they had a Sweethearts Night. So they
Sweetheart
had all,
Night,
all the
that's
Disney
it.
couples were there. It was a
Yes.
ticketed event.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
right. I think the issue lied with Meg's the girls who were dressing as her. I think the headgear was so heavy they were starting to have there was a lot of neck or back issues.
Yeah.
So I had heard that was part of the downfall for it, and I guess maybe it just wasn't as popular.
And Hunchback of Notre Dame could be in that cruise too. That's not in the parks anywhere.
No, that
Okay.
was never one of my
So,
favorite ones,
put
but
it-
yeah, a lot of people do like it. Well, it used to have the
Trin?
they used to have the stage show before the Beauty and the Beast stage show. It was the Hunchback of Notre Dame
No, they had their own
MGM.
theater. They
Well,
had
they
their
each-
own theater.
that's right,
It
they
was
each had
over
their
in-
own.
off New York.
You're right. They each did have their own for a while.
It's now
correct.
that building's now gone.
It's gone, yeah.
That's
So
where they
we
were
do all of
storing
this on the Magic. It has to be on the Magic because of the Aquadunk. Because Kronk has to pull the lever.
Yes, yes, he does.
Yes.
Mm,
Pull the lever, Kronk.
And
Like, can
that
we just get a
can
little
only happen
voiceover
on the
in your
Disney
ear?
Magic. And Kronk is up at the top, pulling the wrong lever. Pull the lever, Kronk. You hear it on the speakers around you. Pull the lever, Kronk. And then your crew member / cast member pulls the lever, and down you go.
Yep,
And then they
Perfect.
treated them. Why do we even have that lever?
that's right.
But
Absolutely.
yes, see, Discotopia works
Oh,
anywhere.
absolutely. You can even
Yeah.
incorporate stuff from the second movie because it picks up pretty well right after the other one.
Heck, you can pick up
starts.
stuff
I
from
mean-
the animated series.
Oh, that
It's
too.
a developed world.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's all fantastic, all of it.
And I would like, like you guys said with the sass and things, I would love it if there was something like 50s prime time-ish, something with some antics that go with the story. I mean, you do get to know your servers pretty well, but I would love a little bit more of a story kind of that goes along with the interactions.
Yes,
I would like that.
I would like that a lot
I know
too.
they work so hard. I don't know that they'd have time for that. Those those crew members are so awesome. They work so hard.
Yeah.
During the dinner service, but
but even if it wasn't, or
just have
every
roaming
meal,
actors like streetmosphere people who roam the dining room.
Yes,
and that's their job.
Absolutely,
to be dining-mosphere.
Dining room.
Dinmosphere.
Eatmosphere.
Yeah. But I would love some streetmosphere throughout the ship.
I would love that everywhere.
There's no reason they couldn't have streetmosphere all on the ship.
Only one reason: they don't want to pay for it.
I don't know. They can't
same
have
reason
it in Hollywood Studios.
Same reason they got rid of it in the parks. But no, I think that would be awesome.
Yes, I would love some streetmosphere.
Awesome. I would too.
Especially if they were like dressed for the Art Deco or the Art Nouveau periods. And I mean, there's backstory there that people don't even know about to the ships, about the era of the ships. Mm-hmm. And they could really bring that home with some.
And Art Deco just looks so cool, honestly. Yeah, I love how it looks.
And the style, I mean, imagine the crew members, there's, of course, they're young. I could be their mother, obviously, Jessica.
You're my surrogate mama.
I'll take it. Yeah, I have some more kids up in my house. But yeah, dressed in those costumes from the era. Very Great Gatsby-ish. I'd love to see some streetmosphere going through the atrium lobby.
Yeah.
So Disney, make it happen. Not that Disney listens to me.
They really should at this point.
I know, right?
Yeah, there's no excuse anymore.
Come on, Disney, get with it.
You can pretend it was your idea. We won't take credit for it, right?
I just want some things, But I would think that some streetmosphere on the ships would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Characters that aren't necessarily Disney characters.
Yeah.
So, and that could explain the story of the ship a little bit in a very entertaining, accessible way.
Right.
So, I don't know. Anything else? Any other? I mean, I don't know what's. We haven't heard anything else about any of the new stuff any of the new ships online, right?
No, it'll pretty much be hush for a little while yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't you say there were rumors about names?
No, they just named the class. They're Triton class.
They're going to call it Triton class. Now, typically, and it's not universally applied, but typically the class is named after the first ship of that class. So, like, the Dream class ships are from the Dream. Magic class ships from Magic.
But I can't see them calling a ship Triton.
Totally. I could, but...
Is it a restaurant?
Well, I could, but it doesn't go with the...
It doesn't lend the theme.
When you have the wonder, the magic, the dream, and the fantasy... Yeah, Triton just doesn't kind of go with it.
But it kind of sounds badass.
It does.
And very nautical. I mean...
Triton. But the other problem is that the Wonder already has Tritons.
Right.
As one of their dining rooms.
Gotcha.
So, and the Little Mermaid is the atrium icon of the Disney Wonder already.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think people are mixing the thought that the first ship would be named the Disney Triton. Although, again, it's kind of badass. I'm sorry, it really is kind of
pretty
cool. But yeah, so it's rumored that it's the Triton class. I'm married to a submariner, so kind of neat seeing submarine language kind of come into the cruise line, so I like that. But who knows? We've got a while yet, I think, before we hear anything on that front.
Gotcha.
Although, of course, in true Disney style, they're not giving us any dates.
Nope.
Oh, heavens no.
Oh, that was silly talk.
But they got to be setting a keel here pretty soon.
Exactly.
I mean, we're coming up on what would be 2 years before the first sailing.
Mm-hmm. But they haven't given us even a season in 2021. It could be
it's gonna be winter. It always has been. Every one of the inaugurals has been in the winter. So I can't see them breaking that tradition unless they're going to do the inaugural from someplace else.
Right.
That's my fear. Because they'll say, oh, well, our inaugural is going to be a med cruise. Oh, hell no.
I know, right?
Because that's too expensive to get there.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the rumor. And like I said, if that really, and it could just be the code word right now, kind of like when prototypes have a code name. It might not actually be the Triton class. It could just be its code name for now. And that's what they're calling it in memos, so that's to not actually say, type, or refer to the real name. So, could be that. Could just be its code word. But I like it. So, sometimes Disney knows what they're doing. Bless them. I'm excited either way. New is always good.
Yes. Agreed.
I do wish we could, at least they'd throw us a little bit of a bone with, a couple more sketches. Just a couple more sketches. Come on. Could it hurt? Maybe a pool?
I know, right?
Or you're sitting in a chair and just the view from your chair, because that doesn't give anything away.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
Way to kill my hope.
Sorry.
I know, right? I know.
All right. Well, I think that's a nice list of different ideas and places to go and things to see. Destinations are probably just as tricky as, or maybe not even trickier than, because pretty much not necessarily the Disney cruise lines, but between all of the major cruise lines, I think they hit everywhere around the globe that people would actually like to go on a cruise ship. So, you'd like to think if Disney branched out to some of the more exotic areas, the price tag is going to be astronomical.
Definitely.
Because it's expensive now, and with good reason. But you start branching out to some of these other places further away when it's longer times at sea. It's those price tags are going to go up big time. Which is probably why they don't venture that way, because it's probably not profitable. Because what would they really have to do? One sailing a year to one of those crazy places that you're going to be on the ship for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks? I mean, especially the longer ones, But I don't know. I don't know. And some people are fine with that, with being on the ship that long and not having an actual stopping at port to port, because if the ships are that big, there are pretty much floating cities as it is now, and there's kind of no shortage of stuff to do on there. Especially if you aren't there with younger children, if you have older children, upper age teenagers, or if, going as your family and your kids are in their, whatever, early 20s and stuff like that, they may not necessarily be worried about venturing off to islands and doing this, that, and the other thing, or stopping at all the ports, hanging on the ship hanging out by the pool and having cocktails all night long may just be what everybody wants to do. So, or seeing shows and participating in other sorts of events. So, who knows? But I don't know. I think that's all we got, right? Anybody else have anything else they popped into their heads as we've been chatting, or I think we're good.
I think we're good.
All right. Well, then we'll leave it at that. Okay, so, we thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this, and we will talk to everybody next time. Follow our troupe at www.dizexplorers.com, where you can find all the links for all our hosts' social media accounts. You can also follow the podcast on our Facebook group at The Diz Explorers and on Twitter and Instagram at The Diz Explorers. You can download this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio, and also on YouTube. Thanks for listening.
Hope you had a good time. So long from Jiminy Cricket and Spectro Magic.